Antarctica, the very edge of our world, a place so vast, so untouched, that it feels less like a continent and more like another planet. 14 million square kilometers of ice, stretching farther than the eye can see. Temperatures here can plunge to minus 89 degrees Celsius, cold enough to freeze steel in seconds. Winds roar at over 200 kilometers per hour, sculpting the snow into alien landscapes. And yet, despite its hostility, despite its silence, Antarctica has always pulled at the human imagination like a magnet. Today, more than 70 research stations dot this frozen wilderness. Outposts built by over 30 nations, working side by side under the Antarctic Treaty System. On paper, their mission is noble: science, climate change, wildlife, geology, even astrophysics. These stations are humanity's laboratories at the bottom of the world, where scientists drill into ancient ice to unlock secrets of Earth's past, and where penguins, seals, and whales are studied as living barometers of a changing planet. But here's the thing: beneath this official story lies another narrative, one whispered in books, forums, and late-night documentaries, a narrative of secrets, of hidden military installations, of Nazi enclaves that supposedly survived the war, of UFOs and extraterrestrial bases buried beneath the ice, of advanced technologies so powerful they've been deliberately kept from the world. So what's the truth? Is Antarctica really just a frozen laboratory for science, or is it something more? To understand this duality, we need to look at both sides, the official roles of these bases and the myths that cling to them like shadows. Because Antarctica is not just a continent, it's a stage where science, politics, and conspiracy collide. Think about it. In the 1930s, Nazi Germany sent expeditions here, claiming territory under the guise of whaling. After World War II, the US Navy launched Operation High Jump, one of the largest Antarctic missions ever, with ships, planes, and thousands of men. Officially, it was about mapping, but rumors spread of something else: encounters with hidden forces, battles never admitted. Then came 1959. Amid Cold War tensions, 12 nations signed the Antarctic Treaty. No military activity, no nuclear tests, only peace, only science. A remarkable achievement of diplomacy, and yet the very need for such a treaty raises questions. Why was it so important to lock Antarctica away from military use? What exactly did they fear? Meanwhile, the science is real and it's groundbreaking. Russian scientists at Vostok drill into ice that's hundreds of thousands of years old, revealing Earth's climate history. American researchers at McMurdo study how penguins adapt to warming seas. Every discovery here matters, not just for Antarctica, but for the entire planet. And yet, conspiracy believers point to strange anomalies. Mountains shaped like pyramids, explained by geologists as natural nunataks, but to some, proof of ancient civilizations. Lights in the sky, dismissed as atmospheric phenomena, but to others, evidence of UFOs. Even declassified films resurface online, fueling speculation that something is being hidden. But here's why this story matters now more than ever. Antarctica is melting, ice sheets are retreating, glaciers are collapsing, and with them, secrets long buried may soon be revealed. Pollutants from abandoned Cold War sites could resurface. Rising seas threaten coastal cities worldwide. And as nations like the US, Russia, and China expand their presence here, the question of resources, oil, minerals, even fresh water, looms larger. Antarctica is no longer just a frozen wasteland. It's a mirror reflecting our environmental future, our geopolitical rivalries, and our endless human curiosity. The story of Antarctic bases doesn't begin with science. It begins with ambition, with flags, with rivalries, and with the shadow of war. Long before Antarctica became a stage for climate research and international cooperation, it was a chessboard for nations chasing power, resources, and prestige. One of the most iconic figures in this saga was Admiral Richard E. Byrd, a decorated US naval officer and polar explorer. Byrd wasn't just an adventurer. He was a symbol of American reach during the early 20th century. His expeditions were massive undertakings, blending exploration with military precision, and none was bigger or more controversial than Operation High Jump. In 1946, just months after World War II ended, Byrd led one of the largest Antarctic expeditions in history. 13 ships, 23 aircraft, nearly 5,000 men. Officially, the mission was about mapping and training, but the sheer scale of it raised eyebrows. Why send an armada to the bottom of the world, right after the most devastating devastating war in human history. The operation ended abruptly after only 8 months. Official reports blamed brutal weather, but whispers began to spread. Rumors of hidden battles, of encounters with something far stranger than ice and storms. Tar-crashed PBM Mariner plane, unexplained losses, and Byrd's own cryptic comments about new enemies only fueled the fire. But the seeds of Antarctic intrigue were planted even earlier. In 1938, Nazi Germany launched its own expedition, led by Captain Alfred Richer. Their goal, to claim a slice of Antarctica, New Swabia for the Reich. Over 250,000 square kilometers were surveyed. Swastika flags were dropped from planes. Thousands of photographs were taken. On the surface, it was about whaling rights and securing fat supplies for margarine and explosives. But in the fevered imagination of later decades, this mission became something else entirely, a foundation for theories of secret Nazi hideouts, underground bases, and advanced technologies hidden beneath the ice. Here lies the duality of Antarctic bases. On one hand, they are scientific outposts, studying ice, wildlife, and climate. On the other, they are magnets for speculation. Could these isolated stations, scattered across a continent larger than Europe, really be hiding something more? By 1959, the world was deep in Cold War tensions. Yet remarkably, 12 nations, including the US, the Soviet Union, and the UK, came together to sign the Antarctic Treaty. It banned military activity, outlawed nuclear tests, and declared the continent a sanctuary for science. Today, 54 nations are part of it. On paper, it's one of humanity's greatest diplomatic achievements, but treaties are only as strong as the trust behind them. Critics argue the treaty masks activities that remain hidden from public view. After all, history has shown us that secrecy thrives in remote places. Take Camp Century, for example. In the 1950s and 60s, the US built this base under the ice of Greenland. Officially, it was a research station. In reality, it concealed nuclear projects. Today, as ice melts, remnants of that era, radioactive waste, chemical pollutants are resurfacing. If it happened in Greenland, could similar secrets lie buried in Antarctica? And in our own time, the speculation hasn't stopped. From 2023 to 2025, online discussions exploded with claims of galactic federation bases, extraterrestrial alliances, and hidden realms beneath the ice. Some point to Admiral Byrd's alleged diaries describing inner Earth civilizations, though historians dismiss them as forgeries. Still, the fascination persists. The Nazi expedition produced 11,000 photographs, but no permanent bases. Operation High Jump mapped 1.4 million square kilometers, but left behind unanswered questions. The Antarctic Treaty promised peace, yet Cold War nuclear tests nearby hinted at vulnerabilities. And through it all, declassified films and grainy footage continue to spark debate. This is the foundation of Antarctica's story. A place once claimed for empire, then contested in war, and finally locked under a treaty of peace. But beneath the ice, beneath the treaties, and beneath the official reports, questions remain. Questions that refuse to melt away. And as we move forward, we'll see how these historical foundations shaped not only the bases we know today, but also the mysteries that continue to haunt them. When most people think of Antarctica, they imagine a flat, endless sheet of white. But the truth is far stranger, far more dramatic. Beneath the ice lies a continent of mountains, volcanoes, and hidden lakes, features that have fueled both science and speculation. Take Queen Maud Land, for example. Once claimed by Nazi Germany as New Swabia, this region has become a magnet for conspiracy theories. Vast, remote, and largely unexplored, it's the kind of place where imagination runs wild. Could geothermal pockets or subglacial lakes conceal structures? Scientists say no, but the mystery lingers. Not all Antarctic bases are shrouded in secrecy. Some are living museums. Port Lockroy, once a British base during World War II, now welcomes tourists who step into its frozen time capsule, complete with vintage radios, bunk beds, and even letters from soldiers stationed here. It's a reminder that Antarctica has always been more than just ice. It's been a stage for human ambition, survival, and memory. Then there's Deception Island, a volcanic caldera where whaling stations once thrived. Imagine it, steam rising from the black sand, rusting boilers half buried in ash, the ghosts of an industry that once hunted giants of the sea. Today, it's a haunting reminder of how human exploitation leaves its mark, even in the most remote corners of Earth. And in the Ellsworth Mountains, nature itself, plays tricks on us. Sharp, pyramid-like peaks, nunataks carved by erosion rise from the ice. Geologists explain them as natural formations, but to some they look too perfect, too deliberate. Alien pyramids, ancient civilizations. The theories persist, because in Antarctica the line between science and mystery is always thin. Today, Antarctica is home to around 70 permanent stations, representing 29 countries. Each one is a frontier outpost of human knowledge. McMurdo Station, run by the United States, is the largest, like a small town on the ice, housing up to 2,200 people. Here, scientists study everything from geology to atmospheric sciences. Russia's Vostok Station drills deep into ancient ice, unlocking 800,000 years of climate history. The UK's Halley 6, perched on a floating ice shelf, monitors the ozone layer and space weather. China's Kunlun Station, high on the dome, a plateau, peers into the heavens with astronomy projects. Thanks to some of the clearest skies on Earth, Australia's Mawson Station focuses on marine biology, studying how life adapts in the harshest seas. Each of these stations is a beacon of discovery. Together, they form a network that helps us understand not just Antarctica, but the entire planet. But science is never separate from politics. Russia and China have expanded their presence, building new stations like Progress and Zhongshan. Officially, these are for research. Unofficially, some wonder if they're positioning for future resource claims that the Antarctic Treaty strictly forbids. Meanwhile, abandoned sites like Stonington Island's 1946 British base now stand as relics, visited by curious tourists. And online, coordinates are shared. Black sites near Cape Horn whispered about in forums and posts. Yet when investigated, they often lead to nothing more than natural rock formations or debunked claims. Still, the allure of hidden secrets never fades. And then there's the greatest challenge of all, climate change. The western Antarctic peninsula is warming 4 times faster than the global average. Ice shelves crack and collapse. Sea ice retreats. Species shift. Adelie penguins, once thriving, now decline as their icy habitats vanish. Melting ice doesn't just reshape the landscape, it exposes the past. Old bases, once sealed in permafrost, now leak pollutants into fragile ecosystems. Nuclear waste, fuel drums, forgotten chemicals, all reminders that what we leave behind doesn't stay buried forever. Recent studies predict 30% more precipitation and reduced sea ice in the coming decades. Habitats will transform. Some species may adapt, others may vanish. And the stations themselves, they're adapting too, built on stilts elevated to withstand shifting ice. But even with innovation, the challenges are immense. In the digital age, Antarctica is no longer just the domain of scientists. Online discussions buzz with skepticism. Why so many bases in a wasteland? Asks one user. Others claim hidden technologies, secret alliances, or extraterrestrial presences. The official story emphasizes sustainability, discovery, and cooperation. But the unofficial story, the one whispered in forums and late-night conversations, remains alive. Because Antarctica is more than a continent, it's a canvas where science, politics, and imagination collide. From volcanic islands to frozen pyramids, from cutting-edge science to whispered conspiracies, Antarctica is a place where the present meets the past, and where the future of our planet may be decided. And as we move forward, we'll see how these contemporary challenges and geopolitical tensions set the stage for what comes next. Antarctica may feel distant, but its impact reaches every coastline, every city, every life. The bases here are not just frozen outposts. They are windows into our planet's future. From drilling ancient ice cores that reveal 800,000 years of climate history, to tracking the rise of global sea levels, the science born here shapes international policy. It tells us how fast the seas will rise, how ecosystems will shift, and how humanity must adapt. But there's another side. These same bases, if mismanaged, risk releasing pollutants sealed away for decades. They risk becoming flashpoints in geopolitical rivalries. And in the shadows of official reports, theories whisper of something more. Suppressed technologies, hidden agendas, and secrets buried beneath the ice. Why do these theories persist? Because Antarctica is the perfect stage for mystery. Remote, isolated, harsh, few people ever set foot here, and fewer still see what happens behind the walls of its stations. Some claim anti-gravity crafts and advanced technologies are hidden away, locked from public knowledge. Others point to Admiral Richard Byrd's expeditions, twisting his words into tales of inner Earth civilizations. And then there are the Nazi myths, stories of U-boats escaping to the southern seas, of secret colonies carved into the ice. No evidence has ever surfaced, yet the legends refuse to die. Even today, the speculation continues. Online voices claim raids on deep state fortresses in 2024. Posts circulate coordinates, grainy photos, and bold declarations. Are they true? Almost certainly not. But the fact that people believe them reveals something deeper, a hunger for transparency, a suspicion that if treaties and governments can hide one thing, what else might they conceal? And so why should we care? Because Antarctica is more than ice. It's a mirror reflecting our fears, our hopes, and our imagination. For some, it's a frontier of science. For others, it's a frontier of mystery. And for all of us, it's a frontier of survival. Audiences connect with this story because it taps into something universal. Curiosity. The same curiosity that drove explorers across oceans now drives us to question what lies beneath the ice. And that curiosity can be channeled into action. Want to engage? Explore declassified documents. Visit eco-tours on Deception Island and see history frozen in rust and ash. Petition for greater transparency in the Antarctic Treaty. Or simply join the conversation online. Share your theories, your questions, your wonder. In the end, Antarctica is both triumph and warning. A triumph of international cooperation, where nations set aside conflict to pursue science, but also a warning of how fragile that cooperation is and how quickly climate change and geopolitics could unravel it. Theories may be speculative, but they serve a purpose. They remind us to demand openness. They remind us that secrecy breeds distrust. And they remind us that this frozen continent, though remote, is tied to our collective fate. As the ice melts, it will reveal more than ancient air bubbles or forgotten relics. It will reveal the truth of our choices, whether we protected this last frontier or exploited it. Antarctica is not just the end of the Earth. It is the test of our humanity.